Hey Bat fans, Luke here, ready to Bat Chat, and as you've seen from my last video, which was a reflection of Batman 50, that video was kind of a Debbie Downer type of video, and I wanted the next video I did to be a lot more positive. And while the contents within this book might not be glowingly positive in a kind of a thematic way, this is just going to go over a book that I just been having so much fun reading. And that's Red Hood and the Outlaws. And this is issue number 24. Red Hood and the Outlaws has just been, it has been like the hidden gem of Rebirth. And I say that with all sincerity, simply because Red Hood and the Outlaws, its previous incarnations, whether it be the beginning of the New 52, or the DCU. Well, that's not even, that was Red Hood and Arsenal, but still, I still count that as Red Hood and the Outlaws. It was in dire straits, and every once in a while, during the New 52 anyway, you might get a surprise here and there, but it was really sporadic. And then the Red Hood and Arsenal book, I can pretty much say, with the exception of one issue, and I think that was when we had the end of Endgame, when we had the introduction of Robobat. I think I might have been the only somewhat decent issue of Red Hood and the Outlaws. I'm sorry, Red Hood and Arsenal. So if you look at it consecutively in like the common theme, and all that was Lobdell as a writer, and even though Tynan had a couple spots in the New 52 where he did a couple issues, yeah, Red Hood and the Outlaws, unless you were a really diehard Red Hood Jason Todd fan, I don't know why you would have picked it up, to be perfectly honest. But Rebirth, man, this title has just been fantastic, and it's been 24 issues. I don't know if there's been a bad issue in Rebirth. I read Red Hood and the Outlaws, and credit goes to Scott Lobdell. I don't know if it was DC direct executives that kind of made him go the way he was going in his previous two incarnations of Red Hood and the Outlaws, or if things were now, the shackles were released and he can kind of do what he wanted, or he just had bad ideas then and it's just a stroke of luck. Now he just hit a great 24-issue, great stride of positivity. Who knows? I don't know. But credit to him. His story's been great. But I think I think the main person that really should get, well, maybe not main, it might be a little bit too much of credit going to him, but a large contingent, that's what I would say, a large contingent of the success should go to Dexter Story. And while he, I believe, is pretty much going to be done on this run, coming up, I think it's October. If not October, it's November, July, August. I think it is October, when we kind of see a different direction going on in Red Hood, and I'll get to that in a minute. I don't think Story is staying on, but Dexter Story's art has just been fantastic, and I think we saw a little bit of him sporadically as well during the New 52. If not the New 52, I know he did like the Arkham Knight art with Genesis, where we kind of had like the origin story of Jason Todd, Red Hood, and Arkham Knight. And his art has just been great. And also, I think credit should also go, I don't know if he does his inks as well. I don't know if it's just pencils. I will see. Colors, Veronica Gandini. At least does the colors. I don't know if that's been consistent, but yeah, I do think Dexter Story does his own inks as well. And he's just been great, and seriously, it's just a joy to look at. I really gotta do this revised like top 10 Batman artist, because if Soy doesn't get in top 10, he's definitely within like the first one or two honorable mentions. I mean, just look at that. That's just great. Just great art by Dexter Soy. So credit goes to Lobdell, Soy, for really bringing Red Hood into such a light of positivity in the time where I think I kind of need it. I really needed a good Red Hood issue after Batman 50. And, yeah, it's just been great. The way that Lobdell's been telling his stories has been really good. And up until the previous issue number 23, while all the team members might be kind of intertwined, the primary central point of the story arc was Bizarro, him taking this synthetic kryptonite for him to get really intelligent, but now it's kind of like it's now regressing. Now he's going back to the Bizarro everyone kind of knows, and in doing so, we're starting to see some of like the secondary effects behind that. But the past two issues, and while this one maybe not as much as last issue, make no doubt, that was a Red Hood centric issue dealing with the backstory of his father, Willis Todd, and it was just fantastic. This one might be a little bit stepped down, and I don't know, there's really nothing as far as the story, but it just, while I was reading issue number 23, that just captured everything that makes Red Hood the way he is. And you can see how much of a damaged person he was, even before getting, killed and all that other stuff that kind of fell along with it. After that, you can just see that why he was the type of person he was. Why he was the person that got caught, stealing tires in the alley by Batman and whatnot. Why this was, he was just the outlaw, not really outlaw, but the outlier Robin that he had with, or Batman had. You could see, all of that based off that one issue, just how his family was kind of centric around that kind of led to the childhood he had. It was a gut punch, and Lobdell hit a home run there. And this issue kind of takes some of the backlash or the fallout from that previous issue, especially how it kind of ended, and kind of moved it along. And unfortunately, the bad thing about this issue, it's not even really a bad thing, because I think it really depends on how Lobdell kind of finishes out the story. You're going to see, especially with the solicits are out, you're going to see a shift in how the Red Hood team is going to look come October. Even the concept, the design of Red Hood, I believe, is going to change. And if it hasn't been if you haven't really been seeing it with the way the Bizarro story's been kind of hammering out, you're going to see it now with the events that occurred in this issue. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to go ahead and spoil this. So even though if you've got actually, no, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to really try to limit the spoilers, even the minor ones, as much as I possibly can. Just how Batman 50 kind of screwed it up. And that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but the predominant part of this issue is, again, the fallout between Penguin and Red Hood. Penguin obviously having a part to play in the death of, not really the death of, well, what he thought was the death, but definitely the imprisonment of Jason Todd's father, and him going to his grave, and what we found out in that last cliffhanger in the last issue. This is Red Hood coming to get his revenge, bottom line. And this is the Red Hood where this is different. He's different from what the person who's kind of making a quiet peace with the Bat family, him who made that promise not to kill in Gotham City. This is the person this is the Jason Todd that's pissed off. And when Jason Todd is pissed off, it's kind of hard for him to really keep his actions in check. I'm not going to say much more than that as far as what may or may not occur on the pages of this issue. Now, I will say, this is kind of like the bummer in this. First off, the only thing that really got me, there's two things that if I had to say anything negative about this issue. This is the art, and I don't know if this is soy or not, so I'm going to try to zoom in as much as I can. And I don't know if my camera's going to capture. I got to try to stay perfectly still. The face right here by Artemis looks really goofy. It just looks, the eyes are way too big for the face. So I think the dimensions are a little bit off in it. And yeah, my camera's not going to pick it up. Maybe if I stand back a little bit, you might be able to see. Way too big. Just way too big. And if that's soy, that is uncharacteristic. And the other one is some of the editorial problems we have in this page. In this sentence here. So it goes, I'm not going to arrest you just so yeah. One too many S's there. If you're editorial, you're in the big times. This is DC Comics. Those type of mistakes can't happen. And this is not a twice a month ship book. This is a once a month ship book. So I'm gonna go back, see who the group editor is. Let's see, group editor Marie Drons. Yeah, shame on you. You got to pick that up. This is a $3.99 book. Doesn't seem a lot, but yeah, that's Bush League. That's Bush League. That should happen. But okay, I'm not going to go any further than that. Those are the only two major hiccups I have with this. Yeah, I really don't want to show that. But wow, soy. That's all I got to say. Dexter, hitting a home run. And they're really still pushing this Bendis thing. I'm not going to go too much in the backstory, what happens to Bizarro in this, other than to say their headquarters. They have the invisible headquarters building that kind of hovers over Gotham City. We might have a problem, to say the least. But this goes into the focus of, again, eyes way too big for Artemis. I'm sorry. And that's not soy. This is the other person, which, other than the eyes, I wouldn't have a problem. But, yeah, I mean, so I think soy's doing the Red Hood related scenes. Try not to spoil anything. Again, this is soy here. This is pretty much the beginning of the end, I think, of the Red Hood and the Outlaws concept as we know it, and then come October, you're going to see the shift. This I'm excited for. Obviously, Jason does something, and now Batman is going to do the course correction, to say the least. Obviously, if you've seen the solicits, you know something's going to go down. That said, the thing that may occur in this book, I doubt it. I don't buy it for a second, mainly because of the person it involves. It ain't gonna happen. Off panel, no. Something happened, don't get me wrong. And obviously the use of a certain object by Red Hood, yeah, you can see how that kind of would trigger Batman in this, but I think the thing that is kind of implied in this, no, I'm not buying it. Trust me, though, it would be totally Jason, totally Red Hood. That would be a Red Hood thing to do, but I don't buy it. I just don't buy it, especially with you get some of the status in the hospital by this certain person, critical condition. If the thing that occurred as it would on the page, there would be no critical condition. So it would be undeniably flatline. But again, the thing, I don't buy it. But that said, again, I don't disregard the motive or the reasoning, and that would be all in line with the Red Hood character. I mean, that person, granted, he made a promise, but due to the circumstances that he just found out, I can see him being pushed over the edge in this, what he may or may not have done. I could see it. And definitely the reaction, this isn't overplayed, this makes sense. But I don't buy it. But this is kind of like if the past story arc plus maybe a little bit one before doesn't kind of have like the foundation of the beginning of the end of this bizarro Artemis Red Hood team, this issue really is it. I don't know, because I really didn't pay attention too much into spoilers and to solicits, and I'm trying my best to avoid all the spoilers. I'm like purging Twitter and watching videos at only a certain point, like after I actually read them, unless it's by someone I know, and I understand there's like a real reason why they need to talk about it right now that I haven't read it. I might consider it, but I'm really trying my best to avoid all things spoilers simply because of, I mean, Batman 50, even though I avoided the damn spoilers, it's just the fact that we're there, and then it just created a toxic environment that kind of inhibited my reading, which I'm not going down that. Positive vibes. But this all makes sense, except for, again, I just don't buy what occurs. But I have faith and confidence that Lobdell is really going to bring that kind of climax into an awesome reading experience. And Red Hood has been great. If I had to grade it, I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5, mainly because of the I issue I have with Artemis being too big. I do think that editorial snafu, and there was more in it. I think the Let's was kind of possessive. In context, I don't know, some of the wording sounded kind of off too. So there was an editorial faux pas that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And again, what we're being given to eat as far as what we're being shown on the page, I just don't buy it. Seen that before. Been there, done that, especially with who's involved. He ain't going off panel like that. We seen that before, and it ain't happening. But still, it just kind of goes, it carries the theme. And Lobdell's been really carrying this theme really well for 24 issues. And I have not had one bad reading experience with Red Hood, and this issue right here continues that trend. And it's a book I look forward to each and every month. And this was the top of the list this week. Didn't get Detective, I didn't get anything else, didn't get Superman #1. This went right to the top of my list because I knew at the end of the day, after Batman 50, that I needed to be kind of brought back into a good place with DC, and this didn't fail to disappoint. So anyway, Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 24. Hit me up in the comments below if you read this issue, if you've been kind of thinking about jumping on Red Hood, if you've seen kind of solicited where this is going. And if you just want to just bat chat about this title as a whole now, Rebirth, DCU, whatever. I would love to chat about Red Hood and Jason Todd. So anyway, hit me up in the comments below. And until next video, which will be interesting because we have Batman 51 next week. We'll see. Again, we'll see. Anyway, until next video, take care.